14,115 feet. And this exact spot right here is where the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb ends. All 12.42 miles and 156 turns of it. But our story, our journey, Cam's journey, starts at the bottom of the hill. So here I'm at Willow Springs today, a place I used to come out a lot 20 years ago, checking out my buddy Cam Ingram, who's shaking down that GT3R twin turbo right there in preparation for Pikes Peak, which is coming up in a few weeks' time. He's getting used to the car. We're going to talk to him when he gets out of the car, along with Joey Seeley, the guy from Emotion Engineering that built the car. Last year that was the car that Reese Millen took at Pikes Peak. Cam Ingram now owns the car. He's here at Willow Springs shaking it down for his third running up Pikes Peak in a couple of weeks' time. So Cam, did you think you'd be doing this like 5 years ago?
No, I would have said you're f***ing crazy 10 years ago. So 5 years ago, no, because I just really started doing this 3 years ago.
So it was 3 years that you went through the Porsche Cup race program?
Mm-hmm, yeah, and went through that whole program to obtain my SCCA license, and then my very first race was Pikes Peak 2 years ago in the Porsche Pikes Peak class by Yokohama.
So that was the Cayman, what, GT4 Club Sport?
Correct, yep.
So you did 2 years running in the Cayman GT4 Club Sport. Last year you were king of the hill in that class, top step podium. Why not go back for the third year, take Tanner's record?
You know, it was important. I was, as you know, one of the few people I expressed I wanted to go back and beat the record in the division. And I got a phone call from Joey, who, you know, everyone knows what Joey built in Emotion Engineering as a team. I saw this car last year, the epic run that Reese Millen did in it. And you know, obviously Joey's been running the 935 that belongs to the Ingram collection, my father's car. And this opportunity came up. It was an opportunity to graduate up, which has always been kind of the goal.
Okay.
And so it's the opportunity to work with him, to drive this incredible car. And it's so not only beautiful, but so well built and balanced. It's been just this, today, our second test session's been amazing.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands.
All right, Joey Seeley, Emotion Engineering. Tell me what this car is. What is it?
It started life as a 2017 991 GT3R Evo.
Now, what is a 991 GT3R Evo to begin with, just for people that don't know? Tell me exactly what that is.
Well, that is what it is to begin with. It's a factory Porsche race car, but they're, as far as customer cars go, it's the mothership.
Okay.
So the only bigger, badder car is the RSR.
Okay. So how much power would this have in that form as you described?
About 500 horsepower.
And what is it capable of now?
Now at 19 pounds of boost at sea level, it makes 1,000 wheel horsepower.
How? 1,000 wheel horsepower?
Yeah.
How are you doubling the horsepower?
Well, we got rid of the original strung out naturally aspirated motor and did a twin turbo motor.
So there's no excuse for turbocharging when you want to double the power. That's the way to go.
yeah. We need the power, but more than anything, it's just the thin air at altitude.
Okay.
You want to make power at altitude, and you can't do that really with a naturally aspirated engine.
So turbo is the way to go.
Yes, sir.
How does it feel? First of all, stepping from an NA into a turbo, and also from minimal grip to a lot of grip, a lot of aero, a lot of suspension tweaking.
Yeah.
It's a big leap step. Tell me how that feels.
You know, I haven't approached this willy-nilly. I've gone through all those steps. Last year I did most of a season in World Racing League, WRL, wheel-to-wheel. And so improving my driving abilities, my racecraft, but jumping, it's quite a step to go from a 420 Cayman platform to Club Sport, which is a great platform. I always tell people, if you want to learn how to drive in a momentum car, and you know that, we talk about that all the time. But it's like literally driving a rocket ship. It's like going from a Cessna into an F-16 fighter plane.
So are you running a stiff car, or are you running a softer setup, or what is the setup?
That it's much softer than most people will ever see.
Tell me about going soft.
Well, stiff is in general not the way you want to go, no matter what. But especially in a place like Pikes Peak, where it's under snow for a majority of the year. So by the time they clear the road, it heaves, you know, and it's really, really bumpy up in the summit section. But also the midsection with the 13 first gear hairpins, you want weight transfer. You want it to set over the nose to actually turn around the corner. And you want it to still be neutral and, you know, behave. You want to be in control of the movement. You want to set the weight. Okay. Especially somewhere where you could go off the side of the mountain. So it's much softer for that, and also just the temperatures. The temperatures, the tarmac is so cold. You know, we're all running tire warmers as hot as we can and leave them on as long as possible. You know, sometimes like at Devil's Playground, when we roll out to the start line and have to wait, by the tires are already cool again. So when you're not able to load the tire, you know, a stiff suspension is not going to help you. You know, you want the tire to move, you want the chassis to move. So there's a lot of reasons, even more than that, but I'm already giving away too many stuff.
Got it. So give me a few points straight away on immediately how it differs from the Cayman from a driving point of view, other than twice the horsepower.
Front end grip, the initial turn in, it's so well balanced under braking. Really a credit to Joey's setup, but under heavy braking, the car is as stable as it can be, and it just inspires confidence. And again, there's so much mechanical grip in the car, it's unbelievable.
You've never driven the streets of Willow prior to your last session.
Correct.
Tell me about the track. Had you heard much about it? Tell me what you think about it.
Well, you know, I was coming here thinking we were doing Big Willow, so I'd studied all this film, and then Joey and Jeff Sword had, you know, they've done testing here. This is where they did testing last year, and now I understand, having done streets, it's such a better proving ground if you're trying to get used to a car, used to mid-corner speeds, technical track. It's like the perfect track for dialing in a car and getting used to a car. So it's been epic. I love Streets of Willow.
How does shaking down at the streets translate to Pikes Peak?
Well, fortunately, we didn't change much, or really anything for that matter, from what we ran last year for Reese. You know, if it worked well for him, you know, being as quick as we were and as comfortable as he was, and like I said, we had a record in the bag if the weather had cooperated. So we just left it as it was, and we are out here just turning laps to get Cam comfortable. But here is important to us because proximity. You know, we don't have altitude to go test at. So what we do get here is heat. You know, so it might be cold at the mountain for us during practice, but the air is thin, so it doesn't cool the engine, you know, or any component of the car. So we come out here, try to tax it, you know, thermally.
Yeah, I get it.
As much as possible, and that's a good, you know, representation, I suppose. And the other thing is it's tight and technical, and there's a little bit of elevation change. We might not have altitude, but there's some change on the course, so it translates well to the kind of conditions that they'll see, you know, on the mountain.
Got it. So what's the goal for Pikes Peak other than have fun?
You know, that's the biggest thing this year for Cam and for myself. You know, to have an effort, like build a car for 9 months flat out. You know, it was 6 months of 90-hour work weeks. Wow. You know, and then the pressure of trying to, you know, to deliver on the 100th running. You know, we did, but now it's like I don't have a record in sight. You know, I just want Cam to be comfortable, and I want him to have fun and safe. You know, be safe.
So less pressure, less
pressure, you know, a lot more fun, you know, bring the love back into it.
Bring the love back in.
Yeah.
He seems to be having a whole lot of love out there and having a great time and going fast, so.
That's you know, he and I both are in this industry, you know, building cars, you know, customer cars, all that. It's all about the reactions. So right now I'm on the receiving end, you know, he's the one giving the reactions. Yeah. And he's having a blast and he's very comfortable, and it's a passion thing for both of us. So to tap into that for someone else is always so rewarding. I mean, it's kind of the play on words when it comes to emotion.
Yeah, for sure. I get it. You're an emotional guy. Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. I'll see you up the hill at Pikes Peak.
Yes, look forward to it.
Load this baby up and get on back to Costa Mesa.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm here at the 101st running of the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. Romain Dumas still holds the record of 7 minutes 57.148 seconds set back in 2018 in the electric VW. The Pikes Peak International Hill Climb covers 12.42 miles. It's got 156 turns, and it raises to an altitude of 14,115 feet. The course is broken down into 3 sections: lower, middle, and upper. Each one has its own terrain and its own challenges. Most drivers will be running oxygen to stay focused and concentrated. There's 6 different test days leading up to the race weekend, and drivers are lucky to get between 3 and 5 different runs per section. So Cam, what is it like, 4:40 in the morning?
Yeah, it is 4:40 in the morning. We're here at in the pits at start line for the second day this weekend of testing.
A lot going on, people are unloading, generators buzzing, drivers meetings at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
I feel good. I'm ready to get in the car this morning. I'm gonna try some different lines, the more direct line this morning with a high horsepower car. So I'm actually really excited to get in the car.
Well, that's awesome. Real quick, tell me how it is stepping from the Cayman GT4 Club Sport into this when you talk about reference points, brake points, turning, getting on the gas.
Right.
Are there any similarities between the two?
The only similarity is you want to flow speed here, so momentum, but you know, the Cayman is a momentum car completely, and you're using all the road, and they're racing in the DOT tires in the class I raced in the last 2 years. Now I've jumped into the open class with a 1,000 horsepower GT3R platform, high horsepower, you know, direct line, shortest distance car. So I'm really having to remap my mind in the whole approach to the race. So recalibrating.
So this is session what, 5, testing the new car on the hill?
This is session 5 for me, yes.
So how are you feeling 5 sessions in with 1,000 horsepower compared to 450-ish?
Yeah, it's been an adjustment. Yesterday, we were up top yesterday in the snow, and that was a lot of fun. It was a little bit of ice, and that was the first time I've ever ran slicks at Pikes Peak.
I saw you were fighting for grip. I saw some footage taken off from the start.
Yes.
Tell me about getting the heat in the tires, and also tell me about snow blind up at the top with all that snow. How do you work around that?
So there were no visual turn-in references because it was snow blind, and the car was pushing because there was no grip. My front tires never got to above 60 degrees, so it was a good data point though, because on race day anything can happen here, and most likely you're going to have inclement weather, so it's 50% chance. So good data point, good time to be in the car, and again I'm getting used to a lot more stuff going on in the GT3R platform over a Cayman.
So seat time.
It's all about seat time.
Now, are you setting yourself goals on time? Is there a goal? Are you out to break records, or are you just out to get to the top of the hill?
It's a multi-year program. This is really for me to get comfortable in the car this year so that we can go for a record, so that I can eventually be fast in the car. And you know, there's a time in my head I'd like to meet, but the class is stacked. We have Romain Dumas in my class running a full Ford factory program. Raphael Estier's here in a full Renault program. I mean, so, and then there's James Clay in the BMW. You know, I'd love to finish in top 5. That would be a huge win. This is the only race in the world where you can show up and race against Romain Dumas in a Ford factory program, and then next to a guy who has a 2,000 horsepower home-built thing. So it's really a special race.
It's all about diversity.
It's all about diversity.
It's an early start at Pikes Peak. I was up this morning around 2:30, arrived at the bottom gate around 3:30 a.m. in the morning when it was dark. The gate opens at 4, and the track or the course goes hot around 5:15, 5:30. The run session runs all the way through to 8:30 a.m. when the course is closed, because one of the most unique things about the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb is that it takes place in a national park. with park rangers. And by 9 AM, the course is open to the public. That means you can drive it in your minivan all the way to the summit. So here I'm at the start of the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb, mile marker 7 at 9,350 feet. Got another 4,720 feet to climb. There's the start line over there, and that's where you go, pedal to the metal. How's his progress been over his prior 4 sessions?
It's been great. We've had poor conditions, but he's again been incrementally bugger, and that's all in sore. And he's finding a grip level in the wet, you know, first weekend, and up on the top yesterday it was so dirty, you know, on slicks there's virtually no grip, but he was finding his comfort zone, which, you know, getting those points that are important for him to be coming with weight.
Tell me about the tire warmers. What is the temp?
In the warmers?
Yeah.
We try to get them to about 175, 180 degrees, which is closer to operating temp. We try to get it as high as possible, because by the time you go across this 40-degree tarmac, you know, 100 yards from the trail.
What do you think it dropped?
By the time he was down here,
Test them on the start line?
we do sometimes. We didn't today.
What do they drop though?
They'll probably be back down to like, well, still better than 40.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a bit more grip. He was on stickers too, so that will be slick. You know, he'll need to knock off the loose.
Yeah.
You gotta get scuffed up a little, which is, it's even hard to scuff. It's a shoot. We just again, it's a sighting run, scare the animals away, get the dust off the track, and then hopefully just turn them right back around and working.
Talk to me about freight temp. How are we getting heat?
It'll be pretty in and out of the verse. We have a proprietary tactile com that heats up really quickly. It's like an extra sprint pad instead of an endurance pad. So it'll put temperature in the first corner, and by second corner they'll be really pretty happy. What we did is a really lightweight caliper and that pad, but we did a heavy rotor that retains the heat.
Okay, so it's good to keep the heat in.
Keep the rotor will pull the heat out of the pad, which will release the excess of heat, but it retains it. So really, once he gets to the first 2 turns, he's good for the rest of it.
Now when he comes back, what are you looking for in between runs other than tire temp, fluids? What are you looking at on the car?
Well, we're pretty fortunate. This is the same car we ran last year at Brisbane, so it's really sorted. When it comes back, I mean, we have enough fluids in it that we could probably do a little bit more runs.
Good.
So we don't have to worry about fluids. We just come back and give him a break, you know, talk to him about the run, you know, discuss what the car is doing. Just debrief, but even the chassis is so dialed to pre-slash, so driver friendly. It's really, we're not chasing anything on parts except for getting up.
Seat.
Yeah, seat time and shreds.
That's good. All right, well, we'll see what Cam says when he comes back.
Yeah.
Appreciate the update, man. Another interesting thing about Pikes Peak is the altitude makes you a little lightheaded. You got to stay hydrated. I'm constantly drinking water. The oxygen's thinner here, and it does take a little bit of getting used to the altitude. So that's one thing to bear in mind if you're coming out here. Bring the sunblock, bring a warm coat, bring a scarf, bring a hat, and bring some water. So to keep track of what's going on, we're looking at the timing board. Second run, Robin Shute turned in a 3:34. Cam's doing awesome. He's down here with a 4:13. So this is how we know what's going on. We can check the classes: Unlimited, Exhibition, Porsche Cayman GT4 Club Sport program, and Open Class program right here. So we got Unlimited, Open Wheel, Time Attack, Exhibition, and Porsche Pikes Peak. Hayden's doing pretty awesome as well with a 4:34 in the Cayman GT4 Club Sport program. So anyway, that's how you keep track of what's going on here on the hill. So Cam, looks like you've adapted really well to stepping up in horsepower. Tell me about it.
You know, I told Joey this morning, I was like so excited to get in the car, and out of the 3 years I've been racing, I have to say it sounds crazy, but I've never really been super excited to get in the car, and I was like jumping at the bit. You saw me stall at start line twice, but on my third run this morning, I've set the fastest lap in qualifying down here that I've ever done, a 4:07. So it really gives me confidence. I'm happy for the team.
So you've adapted to the environment extremely well. I've also noticed you talked about Joey and the team there.
Yeah.
You didn't touch the car once. I have to admit, I've seen a lot of people faffing around with the cars, adjusting things.
Yeah.
The reliability and the way this car's dialed in has to be part of giving you confidence to really stay boosted and go pedal to the metal. Talk about that a little bit as to how well the car is dialed in and how comfortable and confident it makes you feel.
You know, Joey, you showed last year with what Reese did in the car. I mean, Joey's built a world-class car, and the platform is so stable under heavy braking, everything. I feel so good. I told him the first time I drove it, it just feels like I was like, don't take this as an insult, but it feels like a big version of my Cayman with a rocket behind it. But that's it. You know, we did turnarounds. We never came in the pits today.
I saw that, yeah.
And we never put tire warmers on it. And that's how good the car feels. So it's just, I mean, I feel really good.
Number 9, what is its significance? Why'd you pick it?
So I grew up in a baseball family. I played baseball and Ted Williams. And Ted Williams' quote was, you know, outwork, put in hard work and outwork everybody. So. Well,
that seems to be a motto that you seem to live by. Seems to me in the 10 years that I've known you, you give 110% effort for whatever it is you're doing, whether it's restoring the cars or racing the cars. And I have to admit, it's really inspiring to see what you've done in a short period of time. And I can't wait to see the final result on race weekend and what time you do. I'm really super excited. And
well, pedal to the metal. You know, our friendship, 10 years of friendship really means the world to me.
Tell me a little bit about the decal right here, if you would.
So it's a tribute to my father. These are his actual cowboy boots. Wayne Devers designed this. These are actually his cowboy boots and his hat that he wore all the time. So we just lost my father a couple months ago. So this is a tribute to him. And he's riding with me in spirit and on the car. And it's, you know, I talked to him before he passed away about doing this, and he was fully supportive. So
well, it's great to see that Bob is with you. Cam, I'm going to leave you to load up the car. I know you got one more day of testing, but all the best. Pedal to the metal.
Thanks for it.
So it looked like testing the Pikes Peak was going extremely well. Talk me through what happened in between the second week of testing and the actual race week.
On the last day, in the middle section, the famous W section, we had transmission issues. It was stuck in second and not shifting up. Went back to the shop, and Joey Seeley rebuilt the GT3R transmission right there.
No way.
So yeah, my first time on the mountain in slicks and frozen temps. So
wow.
Yeah, the brakes would never get warm. The car was pushing everywhere because we were driving on a frozen track with frozen tires and frozen temps.
It's like ice driving.
Yeah, it was. And so that was, you know, driving a 1,000 horsepower GT3R twin turbo with slicks. That was a big, you know, a big moment for me. But the car's so good and well balanced.
In hindsight, if you were to do it again, would you do more shakedown in the car prior to Pikes Peak, i.e., if you had more time?
I think because of limitations. At the end of the day, I'm an amateur gentleman driver. You know, I run a business. I work 80 hours a week. I would love to devote my life to, you know, racing. I would love it, but work comes first. My family as well. And so
that's still the priority.
That's still the priority.
So let's get to race week. You got the transmission back in the car. Do you shake the car down before you go to the hill?
We did an optional test day at PPIR.
Okay.
It's a track. It's like a miniature Daytona. That limited seat time on the mountain, and that's why you sign up for those optional practice days. It's so important to have seat time on the mountain. I just think you can never have enough time because of the changing variables of the track.
Is the pressure building at this point, or are you still pretty chill?
You know, I was really happy. I was never going to be lightning fast, but all my times in each practice kept coming down consistently. My times kept coming down 6 seconds each one.
Well,
I've left room on the table for the future. Qualifying day, we unfortunately lost boost, so that's why we had to replace those turbos. And so my only qualifying lap was a slow lap, 5 minutes in the first sector, which is terrible. But we qualified.
You have to set a time.
You have to set a time. So, or you get, you know, you race last.
Got it. Whilst you were waiting what must have been, 5 or 6 hours for your run, Did you see that potentially as an advantage?
I think it was a very happenstance advantage. If I were a pro, I would have capitalized on it. I had 6 hours to really be in my own head, watching friends, competitors, and people go out and seeing all the times. And it was a record-breaking day because it was one of the best weather days that we've had on Pikes Peak on race day in a long time. So I had all day to sit there in my head, put pressure on myself. I had a time I wanted to do, but if I were a pro, the track temps, the road conditions were great. It was clean because of all the competitors going up and sweeping the course. It was nice and warm. My tire warmers, everything was like perfect conditions. And you know, I had a great start off the start line. My first sector and second sector. My first sector was fast, and my second sector was really good. And I did the cardinal thing that you should never do. I started to feel good in the car, and I started to think instead of instinctually drive and be in the moment. So I started to, in my head, start to push because I wanted to really nail that sub 10 time. And I went into this famous corner, Elk Park, and I spun. And while it was happening, I knew exactly what was happening. It wasn't a red mist. I just cooked it into the corner a little too much. And it's a hairpin, so I rolled speed in, the front end compressed down, and came around, installed the car. So it took me, I lost about 40 seconds there, and it just crushed me. I'm trying to start the car. It finally starts. It takes a minute to lean out. So by the time I tried to start it 3 times and leaned out, it's like a manic sensation. Like I just, you know, all the hard work the team had done for the whole month, the time, investment, energy, psychology, money put into this whole thing, the passion, and knowing that I'd put together 2 good sectors and I had just botched it, you know. So after that, I don't really remember a whole lot because I drove out of my mind to try to salvage what I could. And that's the most dangerous part of the course from there on. So,
talk to me about the advice you've got from those type of drivers, peers, people that inspire you. Just tell me what it means to actually be competing with those guys, but also friends with those guys and sharing stories and tips to how you get up the hill quicker.
I think that's the most unique aspect of the race is someone from my background starting later in life. You're racing with Romain Dumas, Jeff Swart, who's my mentor and coach, who's taught me how to drive on the hill, has given me all the important cues to, you know, the safest, best way around. And from there, you look at Reese and Donahue, and I think Reese is the most prolific driver on the mountain because of your point. He can get into anything and be fast. And he can drive there's different lines of how to drive the mountain depending on how much horsepower you have. And he's by far one of the most adaptable, and you know, his storied career there shows for itself.
So what's next? Go back next year?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Get under 10 for sure?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You get up to the top and you realize how lucky you are to make it to the top. I don't know, it's like the most intense feeling of being alive that I can describe. What did you think? Like, because you came during practice. You've never been during practice. What did you think?
Well, I've gone to the race 4 or 5 times, and the race is tricky because, you know, you don't really see a ton of the course.
Yeah.
Practice for me, the first time I went, I was like, wow, I should have been going to practice the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, it really was an eye-opener to me to actually see, you know, all the work involved, which I knew was intense.
Yeah.
I'm really glad I went to practice. It was an awesome time. So thanks for inviting me out on that.
No, thanks for coming.
All right, man. Hug you down.
Yeah, thanks, brother.
It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. But as my buddy Cam Ingram has shown today, if you're motivated, dedicated, and highly focused, anything is possible, because he made it all the way to the summit of the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb of 14,115 feet, faster than he ever did before. So if you get a chance, get out and drive, pedal to the metal. And remember, stay boosted. Cheers and rock on.